and I picked them, and I texted her, and I was like, hey, how's Rocky been? And she texted me back at like 11:30 p.m. last night. It was just like, he's actually been good. And I was like, cool.
Nice.
So I texted her back, and I was like, any issues? And she said, actually, no. I was like, cool. About an English bulldog that's 6 months old and doesn't stop biting when it gets aroused. So I have a couple of things that I look at when I try to solve these types of problems. So first and foremost, dogs always rehearse these behaviors because there's some sort of reinforcement behind them. Meaning a lot of owners, when the dog starts trying to nip, bite, this, that, they'll try to tell the dog, no, don't do that, this, that, they'll push the dog away. And unfortunately, all of those interactions and things you're saying are typically pretty meaningless to the dog, and they just see it as attention, they see it as it's getting a rise out of you, and nothing you're doing is aversive that's making the dog stop, so it becomes kind of like a game to them. So first and foremost, eliminate everything when the dog starts biting at you. Stand up, ignore the dog, make sure you're not feeding into that anymore. Now, this is not going to solve the problem in itself, but it will make sure you're not fighting an uphill battle as we go to address these types of problems. Secondary, we need to apply a correction for the biting. So a lot of times with younger dogs, you use a pet corrector, you use a squirt bottle, you use a bonker, you could use an e-collar if the dog is conditioned to an e-collar, a leash and prong collar, anything the individual dog finds aversive, and you're going to start attaching a consequence to that specific behavior. So once you've removed the reinforcement and you've stopped giving into the dog when they start biting at you, if they continue to bite, you would mark with no and then apply an actual punisher to it. That's the key with this, is we're saying no and then we're doing something afterwards that the dog finds aversive enough that they want to stop the behavior. We make sure we do that consistently enough, the dog realizes the behavior goes away. Second, we get into making things fair for the dog. We don't want to be creating a bunch of stimulation. If you're getting home with your young dog and as soon as you walk in the door, you're like, oh, puppy, get the dog super jacked up, get on the ground with them, this, that. Again, making it unfair. Again, not an excuse for the dog. We do want them to stop rehearsing that behavior ultimately, but you need to do your part in making sure that you're not creating too much stimulation with things. But the key here really is don't reinforce the behavior further and apply a correction when the dog starts rehearsing the behavior. And again, you have to determine what your dog is motivated by. Don't lie to yourself, right? A lot of people will look at like, oh, I tell my dog no, and they kind of act like they're acting submissive or something like that. Typically speaking, dogs don't care about that kind of stuff. So you have to figure out what type of correction out of that list that I described earlier is going to be motivating enough, use a motivating enough correction, and that behavior will ultimately go away. Hope that helps. And just get it done. I keep telling people that, especially lately with like e-collar stuff, like Max's owner. I did an I did a follow-up lesson with them, and he was doing really well, but same deal, a little bit of reactivity in the elevator still, and we went there, and I just told him, I was like, you just gotta just get it done, just go into that elevator and just tell Max, we mean business right now. Boom, any nonsense, get it under control. They text me the next day, they're like, good. Yeah. It's like, it really is as simple as that, is just get it under control. You know that dog Little that we did that in-home lesson with the other day? The fruit bat?
Yeah.
I did an in-home with her last night, the second one. Phenomenal. Like literally like 90% of her issues are gone at this point. A little bit of issue in the backyard still with like the neighbor. So we set that scenario up. We had the neighbor come out into the yard. We had her literally look over the fence and be like, hi Little, how's it going? She started getting herself hyped up. We lit her up for it one time real good. She booked it into the backyard, like all the way to the back of the backyard, and just laid down, and that was it,
Yeah.
And again, like, I told her a couple times, I was like, listen, like, hey, you don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Like, I get it. Like, but like,
enough is enough. Like, she's tearing your fucking fence down, right? She's like trying to attack your neighbors every time they come into the yard. Like, you just can't do it.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. Basically, what's going on here right now is Earl is having some issues with reactivity at home, right? They're having a hard time really getting a grasp on it. He's doing a lot better than he was before, but it's just like something is not totally connecting as far as him getting the rest of the way there. Now, we just passed by what, like 7, 8, 9 dogs, something like that, and he was absolutely 100% perfect. Like, there was nothing wrong. Like, he was really, really good. Now, that's not to say they're lying and he's not doing the behavior at home with them, obviously. That's just to say, I want to confirm that something we're doing is not the issue, right? We've checked the box that, all right, we can get him to do it with us, right? So we have a blueprint of how we got from point A to point B. So next step, Bridget, what I was going to say is, we need to confirm we could get that exact same success with them with us, right? Because he did good in the, for a while, he was having the issues when you were doing the follow-ups. Then we did the couple of follow-ups together, and he did significantly better, but he was still a little bit more vocal with things. So I need to confirm that we can get that exact same success we just saw right there with them present. That way we can still confirm again, we're able to influence his behavior. We're able to get him totally past the way. As long as they follow these steps under our guidance, they're able to find success. At that point, we could then say, if they're still saying we're having problems, it's something that you're doing, right? But until we've checked those two boxes before, and this goes hand in hand with any dog that may be having problems, unless we've checked the box of we can get the dog to do it with just us, we could get the dog to do it with them with our guidance, then we can't point the finger quite yet and be like, it's totally your fault. Right? And I don't mean that, again, in like a blaming way. I don't mean that in like a screw you, everything you're doing is wrong way. I just mean like we need to figure out where is the problem, where is the disconnect coming from. So that's what we wanted to obviously confirm here with that.
Is that your mating
She would sit and then she would get up, and I corrected her twice, and then she sat.
Good. she hold it then?
Yeah, but not that I should probably carry her and be like, it doesn't matter. When she knows she's in trouble, she'll face the other direction. So she's like, okay, I can't even look.
Can't look.
Can't even look at you. Domino was jumping on Megan
Like
anyway,
even when
so.
she saw the dog that she nipped the other week, we saw him yesterday.
Yeah, she faced the other way.
She faced the other way. And she's like, have it.
All right.
So again, my biggest concern is that she is fine.
Yeah.
There is no growl like what we see.
Yeah, we talked about this last time.
It's
Yeah.
just 0 to 100. So there is no like, oh, stop it before it happens. Now, if she's too
No,
excited,
it's not a stop it before it happens thing. You know, it's a just catch it the second it happens. You know.
which is what I did.
You know, I understand. Yeah,
But that's too late.
but it's not.
But Milo got bit.
Yeah, but you did, but you didn't. You know what I mean? Like in that scenario, right? You
Like nobody ended up real hurt.
Well, no. What I'm getting at is you kind of caught it right when it happens. Like you still weren't like expecting it to happen, so you weren't complete. Listen, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody here.
I'm pointing fingers.
I'm pointing fingers at both of you guys right
He's
now.
the scorekeeper.
Yeah. So regardless, right? Like you kind of caught it right when it happened. If you were sitting there and it's like e-collar was set all the way up and they're playing and then it's like boom, she goes, nope, bam, right? That would have been catching it right when it happens. That's not what happened, right?
Okay.
So like when she's like playing, like Charlie is energetic. Would it be like smart of us to like have her take like a little break every now and then when they're like getting
could.
to whatever? Be like, hey, like come, like let her
Yeah. So
calm herself down. A
no,
little
I
bit.
understand.
Her hear how she plays and then
Yeah.
send it.
So here's the thing, right? So you could do that. The problem is if you do it, but the other dog is still like all in her face, that can actually make it worse.
Well, that's I think what. So Milo
Yeah.
thought he was done.
Yep.
He came. He kind of recalled her. Then Milo went for another lap.
Mm-hmm.
So then they started playing again.
Yep. Which is why 9 out of 10 times I try to just like, I let it go until it simmers down on its own a little bit, or I step in and I intervene and correct both dogs if possible to get them both to chill out a little bit, you know? But I don't think you need to, I mean, you could just let them play and just watch it, you know?
Watch it.
Just watch it. So that's what we're gonna do again today.
I'm gonna try to.
You gonna be okay this time?
Oh my god.
Did you play with the Great Dane?
We actually may use him, yeah.
That was, me and David were laughing. I feel like if it was anyone maybe but her, like you probably wouldn't have laughed.
I wasn't really laughing. I was not laughing. I was just like, whoa, like if you're gonna step out, like I need to get this under control
I was
first.
having a full blown.
I know, I saw.
I was like, hey, did David tell you about my emotional breakdown? And she was
I
like,
did not.
No, and I was like, good.
Okay.
Alright, let's do this.
Come on, Charlie, let's go. Yeah, I'll take it. All right, Charlie, come on, let's make some friends. This is pretty typical to what she does. No. Okay. No, that was nothing, right?
What happened there?
Nothing. She got, like, it looked like maybe he stepped on her or something like that.
She's sensitive.
Yeah, she let out a little bit of a squeak and then kind of got a little chompy. It didn't really look much different than anything.
But I think.
No, I understand. So hang on, let me. So just to proactively make sure I had control of the situation, I de-escalated them, right? I gave a no, I gave a correction for that. Really, really simple. That brought the energy level down a little bit, got everybody chilling out for a second. Breather.
They both listened.
Yeah, and again, like in his case, yeah, he's had some training, right? So he's gonna be listening in that type of a situation. So you know, it's not gonna work exactly like that, but at least you'll know you can get her to de-escalate a little bit, right? And I'm not telling them you can't play. right? Like the fact that they're just kind of like, all right, we're just going to like do our own thing for a minute here, right? That's fine, but that wasn't the expectation of it. I just wanted to see them bring it down a couple of notches, right?
Okay, so you can correct for them.
100%.
Without.
Yeah, but just, you know, don't be too much with it. You know what I mean? A lot of people, I'll tell them, I kind of say that gingerly because some people will take that to heart and then they'll be correcting them for everything while they're playing. It's like, we got to let them play still, you know? You see again, energy level's down. She's sniffing around a little bit, right? But it's not as intense here. So then in a minute, they might go back to playing with each other and it'll be fine.
Yeah, so I guess this is what I was like alluding to, like, you know, like
Yeah.
super amped up, she's like jumping around.
Sure.
And correction, like now she's like kind of
Yep.
chilling out.
Like I said, you just want to,
Guy's not gonna eat me.
100%. You just want to delay that correction as much as you can, right? If at all possible, your goal should be to not have to do it, you know? But if it hits,
It's going to be trigger happy.
well, that's what I'm saying. You gotta manage it a little bit, right? It's not wrong to do it, you know, like with my dogs. Like if they're playing too rough in the house and they're just annoying me, sometimes I'll step in and give a correction. Not because they're doing anything incorrect, but I need them to bring it down, you know? And you see they're going back to playing with each other, but it's a little calmer this time.
I guess the other thing I have to realize is that she's not going to play with this dog all the time.
No, yeah.
She sleeps all day.
That's kind of it too. Like it's interesting when you get like a second dog, at first they're playing all the time with each other. You know, it's like the most exciting thing in the world just having another dog in the house, and there's a lot of supervision and stuff that goes into it. But honestly, like our dogs don't really play that much at this point. You know, they kind of just have their relationship with each other and lay down and hang out. And
Story over the weekend when your dogs were just like running around the backyard.
yeah.
They were just
Yeah. They're just excited, you know? They're
independently just like
occupying themselves.
Playing with themselves.
100%.
Yeah.
No, you're totally correct. Yeah, there's the one I posted, I think, last weekend or the weekend before or something, you know? And that's just kind of what they do, you know? And Waffles, because he's new, like, they'll kind of play with him sometimes, but that's just because, like, he's the new guy, you know?
Okay, so like.
And this is kind of what I look for when I introduce dogs to each other. Like, I want them to play and have their fun and stuff, but then I kind of want to hit this point of like neutrality. Like, you know, if your dog is contingent on playing like 100% of the time, like it's not that it's bad, right? Like, you know, it's them still figuring out the other dog, obviously, but I want to know they can do this too. Mm-hmm. So that's why, like I said, you know, the corrections will help with that a little bit, de-escalating the situation and getting her realizing like when you hit this point where you just like can't control yourself anymore, like you got to focus back in. But a part of it is just going to be, you know, continuing to expose her to dogs in a more chill manner, you know. Sorry, what was the question?
Or like when she's playing and she's heading up, like, she thinks that like the other dog has like done something to her. I feel like that's
You think
just how I
that kind of
perceive
triggers
it.
her a little bit?
Yeah, so she's like, oh, I'm gonna bite you, so
Sure.
you stop leaving me alone. And I don't want that.
No, I understand.
But it's just like then it's
Yeah.
like she's an animal, so it's like that's like literally their nature.
Kind of, right? So like there's a lot of different like mentalities behind socializing. Like there's a lot of people out there that like preach heavy advocation, right? Which basically means the second you start seeing that your dog is stressed out, you intervene and stop the stressful thing, right? So I would step in and tell Russell to like back the fuck off, right? I'll do it sometimes, right? But depending on the dog I'm working with,
Oh Jesus!
She's
going to be. Is that
what? Oh, it's somebody else. Yeah.
him?
But
Getting spayed on Monday. I just got a text.
depending on the dog that I'm working with, like I know that if that's a problem of hers and she doesn't have an appropriate means of telling the dog to back off a little bit, I kind of need to teach her that, you know?
She doesn't.
So I guess that's like what I'm saying.
So all I'm going to do is supervise it when it starts hitting that point. And then if it turns into something inappropriate, then I would step in and I would intervene. I mean, that's just kind of how she plays though, right? Like, you know, when we let her in here, she was jumping around, chomping in the air and doing all that kind of stuff.
But now I feel like she's done.
And I don't think she's not totally done though. You know what I mean? Like she's conflicted right now because she's trying to get back to you and she's pissed off that he's bothering her in those situations, but she keeps going back for more.
No, but is that like leave me alone, or is it?
It's hard to say. You know, you have to let.
Doesn't have the growl reflex.
I know.
It just has
I know.
the
I
chomp
know.
reflex.
I know. It's hard to say initially. That's why we need to let it play out to see. But you see what I mean? Like, she's going back, right?
Hey, dude.
That's what I'm saying. I think the problem here right now is not that she doesn't want to play with him. It's just she's concerned about what you guys are doing up there.
No, if anything, I feel like she's gonna want to get away from the puppy because the puppy's gonna annoy the shit out of her.
Well, that's.
and
But what
Charlie
if
likes
it
to
annoys the
sleep.
shit? What if it annoys the shit out of her, and then it chomp?
Here's the thing. When you get puppies, another big key with it is you have to set designated play times and designated chill times, right?
We're getting like a baby gate.
Yeah, so baby gates are really good for it to create some separation, obviously. Using your crate in general, like anytime you get a puppy, I usually recommend like a 2 hours in, 2 hours out protocol. Like keep the puppy out for 2 hours, put it back in the
She's
crate for
already
2 hours,
crate-trained.
back and forth,
Right.
you know. I also recommend designating times where your trained dog, you do a bed stay or a down stay or something like that for like 30, 45 minutes,
Yeah.
and then have the puppy just on a leash, right? And you're essentially shaping throughout the day the expectation of you guys don't always need to be interacting with each other, right? But it's up to you guys to create those times.
Yeah, see, like now he knows that, like, okay, she's like.
And that's just it. And that's why I don't want to like proactively step in too much, is because they will figure that stuff out, you know? Like nothing she did was inappropriate, you know? She just said, hey, get out of my face, you know?
One just happened to be on Christmas Eve, and it was my sister's hand. The one before that was my sister's hand again.
Yeah.
And
And like we talked about, every
those were,
single
like,
one of them.
Those are situations where my sister, she's
Yeah.
never owned a dog.
I know, I get it.
She just like thinks that, okay, like dogs love
Yeah.
to play. Like Charlie loves me. Charlie, yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Like I said, every single one of them, there's been a clearly defined thing that could have been done differently that would have helped the situation. You know what I mean? So it's like, I would not be that worried about it. You know, we'll get her in, we'll get the new puppy in the house, we'll start the process of socializing them together, and we'll be good.
Okay, so tell me, some days you're free the week of the 23rd.